time to let it out. It's time to let it go. Parts of my past I can't control. So tonight we're celebrating. What tried to break me, but now I'm stronger, stronger, stronger.
Thank you for joining me again for the Ethereal Pathways podcast. This is Jasmine. I'm your host. And I have a guest with me today named Emily. And Emily wanted to share some things about some significant dreams, recurring dreams that she's been having and the spiritual significance of it in her life. Thank you for joining me today, Emily. I appreciate you doing this for me.
Hello.
Hey, so you want to go into your dream that you want to share about and, you know, what the dynamics were and everything in your life?
Yeah, and I know. So I know you and I have discussed it, like the reoccurringness of this dream. So I'll kind of give a backstory, and then we can dive into the most recent dream that I had. So the recurring dream has always been at my Nana's house, and at her house there used to be her actual house there. So like it was an older home, but it was burned down in a fire. This happened, I was probably maybe 12 or 13 when it burned down. So but the house in the dream is always prominent, like it's not burned down now, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
On the property there is a massive pond. And growing up, there's always been like, regular sized alligators and stuff like that. But I always loved the sunroom. It was made out of all glass on 3 sides, and it overlooked the pond. I mean, growing up, that was always like my favorite place to go. I'm trying to give a little bit of backstory so everybody can kind of visually see like where I'm at. And in between the house and the pond there is a tree house with the ladders that like they're just like little wood planks that go up the tree to like this platform. I don't know if you'd really call it a tree house, but I was never able to climb this tree house. It was tall. But so all my life, ever since I was a kid, I could always remember having dreams about these alligators. And it was all the time. And I tried to do like research on like what they mean and stuff like that. But it's really hard to, I guess, younger and not really focused on your healing or anything like that. You're not really paying attention to the significance of it. It's just a dream.
Right.
You know?
I've been there.
So I'm like, why am I having these dreams? I don't know.
Right.
And I think when you and I really started going on our healing journey and really like making these changes to heal ourselves is when I really started to like connect the dots. And I think this last one really jumping in and seeing the connections of what's been going on in my life and then what's going on in my dream kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of, I want to say, I don't know the word that I'm looking for.
Correlate, maybe?
I don't know, but it's almost like, I want to say like maybe shocking how much it correlates. You know what I mean? Like, because you're just like, oh, it's just a dream about alligators in a pond. Like, what's the significance of that? You know what I mean? And then you're like, well,
it kind of dawns on you.
If you look at what's going on in your life, then.
But you weren't able to see that before because you hadn't done some, healing work.
Right.
So you kind of had a spiritual awakening in a way. And it kind of opened up your eyes to stuff like that, which, what happened to me.
But it's still kind of like, hey, like this makes sense, But so we'll dive into like the most recent dream. You want to do that?
Yeah.
I think
and then we can go back. Yeah.
I wrote this down because I wanted to talk to Jasmine about it.
Yeah. That's good. That's your Virgo side. All detailed. Got your notes all ready to go.
I remember like waking up because I always wake myself up when I'm having a bad dream. I'm like, wake up, it's a dream. Like, you don't have to go through this.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down, and like in the middle of the night, I like wrote everything down. And I was like, okay, we're going to talk about this.
Right.
So in the dream, I was at my Nana's house and I had been playing outside. Everyone had went inside and I was going to go into the treehouse. Again, I never even tried to attempt it. I was always too scared. So the fact that I was trying to attempt to go into the treehouse is significant in itself, because like I said, I never would have done that as a child.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen an alligator that was pretty big in size. I would say bigger than a normal sized alligator. And then a really big, like a bigger alligator than this one, had popped up out of the water. And it really kind of stood out to me because the one that had popped up last it was never this big. No, I mean, I don't think it was like Lake Placid big, but I mean, it was still like, it was definitely enough for me to realize like, hey, this is different. Well, the alligator started to come towards me. And so I ran inside, like I tried to run inside and run into the sunroom. And usually in the recurring dreams, I can go into the sunroom, but I wasn't able to this time. Like, it was locked. And so I was searching for a way to get inside the house. And I was like, okay, this is a dream. And I tried to wake myself up from the dream, but it was like I was in a dream within a dream, if that makes sense. Like, I was watching myself.
Like a movie like that?
Yeah.
What was that with Leonardo DiCaprio? What was that called? I can't remember.
I'm not sure.
Inception. But where it was a dream inside a dream. There were like looped in dreams. It was crazy.
What's weird about this too, though, is I've never been able to do that before. Usually, like when I wake myself up, I'm awake. So the fact that I wasn't even fully awake and I'm still like, I'm watching myself struggle.
Wow.
So I was wondering why I couldn't get in. And so I tried to check the garage, and again, the garage is no longer there. So, and I never really went into the garage either. Like, it was old, so I'm not quite sure what the significance is of the garage, but I tried to go in there too. And it wouldn't open. But eventually I was able to wake myself up from the dream in real life. And that's kind of like the end of the dream. Like, it's different when I dream the dreams. Like, the alligators vary in size. They vary in demeanor. Like, sometimes they're just in the water, and I'm like, okay, I need to get out the pond. And then, like I said, sometimes they'll chase me, so, but this dream really stood out because of the tree house, the house being locked, trying to get into the garage, trying to climb the tree house.
You were by yourself.
And I was by myself. Right. Like, everybody had left.
So you felt alone and by yourself.
But what's crazy is I was always alone in these dreams. Like, when I've had these before, like, I was always alone. So the fact that everybody left this time, like, I noticeably, like, everybody left this time.
Do you feel that you have, like, maybe that's related, like me, to a codependency thing, where you feel alone and scared and you're
possibly,
there's nobody there to help you, and you're, that just dawned on me.
Possibly. And this goes back to what we were talking about too, is like, my Nana's house has always been my safe space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the fact that
would make sense too for that.
Right. So they left. Like, there's, and I would say that I would, I mean, again, she was I would call her, my grandma was there all the time too, so having them leave. And it's kind of, again, it goes back to what's going on in life now. My grandma's not here anymore. Mm-hmm. My Nana's moving. So here we are, 30 years later, and everything has changed about the property, and what's going on in my life. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. And then
Oh, did you finish your notes? I didn't want to distract you. I know we get squirrel moments all the time.
No, you're fine. We did finish the notes. So
okay. So we had looked up what the alligator meant because we were trying to figure this out. What was it, several months ago?
Mm-hmm.
And did you have that pulled up on your phone about what the alligator represented,
no,
the spiritual meaning of that?
It meant a few things.
Maybe you took notes on that in your notepad too. I thought maybe we did that, but yeah. So we're getting it pulled up right now. We looked this up and then we talked about this.
Yes. Because there's different meanings, like
and I think it was like the first or second one I looked up, it was like, whoa, and I was like, you got to hear this, because I went and looked it up, I think, first, and then told you, and then you went and looked it up. So it was like shocking to me. I was like, this is literally what you're going through. Like,
let's see. So it says the alligator is consistently related. Where'd it go? Consistently related to the spiritual soul.
yeah. So, and you were running, trying to find, safety, and you were scared, and you were by yourself, and that I could see how that would be scary. Your safe haven, your grandmother gone, and that was your safe haven, kind of like how my dad was my safe haven, and then he was gone, and then I went reeling out of control, and now in my early 20s, and then my mom, with all that, and then her passing away, but I found out 5 years later. I could kind of see that would make you feel scared, and you're running, trying to find safety, and anywhere you can go to get away, because you felt alone and scared.
And it kind of explained why it was always so reoccurring, like, past traumas and situations, on why, maybe why I kept having the recurring dream. You know what I mean? Like, it's naturally I'm trying to go to like my safe space, and then we have all these outside sources,
Right. We have friends, we have loved ones in our life that we source our safety and our, it's a codependence pattern, and at least for me, that's what it has been, and I'm trying to break that. But maybe too, that's also what I think we had talked about that. That's also what it meant, in a way that we weren't going internally to source that from within us,
right,
and delve into those fears head on. And that's really looking at ourselves, like in a truthful sense, looking at the truth of situations, looking at past wrongs we may have done to inflict something on other people, or something that we're not looking at within ourselves that's causing things to happen to us that's make us feel unsafe, right, in some way. And I've been going through that a lot and doing a lot of that inner work myself,
right.
So as a result of being close by me every day, because we work together, that's very difficult to be away from, then you're growing as a result of being around me, which I'm thankful for, because I'm helping somebody else.
Right. It definitely like it helps reflect, and like being able to have somebody to talk to, like, hey, because I think definitely, going back to the dreams, it's made me realize, like, there are things that my mind and my subconscious is consistently trying to show me, like, hey, something's going on, something's bothering you, and you need to fix it. Like, I think it was the tree house that we were talking about, the significance of it.
I forgot,
like,
that.
Childhood traumas.
We looked that up.
That's
And so what you want to look it up, that one?
I was trying to find exactly what it had said the last time, but it definitely made sense on
that's one of them that we were like, got goosebumps and stuff. We were like, what? That's totally like
Like,
Right
because
on, spot
when you think
on.
of a tree house, you think like that's a child's thing. So the fact that I was trying, maybe trying to revert back to childhood, or
When you
maybe
felt
not.
safe,
Yeah.
because that's when you felt safe over at her house.
Mm-hmm.
Probably really felt safe.
So,
And you can't find that anymore because it's gone in your
Yeah.
life, your physical life, and you're searching for that safety outside of
Yeah.
yourself, and you can't, you couldn't find it in your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
What's
And
crazy was it quit happening when, what you want to go ahead and share what happened
so
this year?
they sold the house.
How long
And
ago? That was a couple months ago.
yeah, that was a couple months ago, and ever since then I haven't had the dream anymore.
Mhm.
And but also too, the changes in my life that I have made, like I started to put more boundaries in place. I started
Right.
to focus on myself.
Removing toxic people, places, and
Just
things. You were still working on that, yeah.
all kinds of things that I have
You've made
changed
some
in my
major
life.
changes, yeah.
So, and it maybe like the door being locked and not being able to actually go inside for the safety was I need to figure this out for myself instead of relying on,
External validation or things like that.
I mean, really, it's kind of, it could be anything, like, like normal coping
Right.
mechanisms that
Like
we
our
naturally do.
retail therapy, or
Like, hey, you can't keep doing these
right,
things.
hanging out with somebody
You
else.
gotta
And
figure this out.
me, it's like keeping myself busy with things that are not
Right.
like playing a video game on my phone and not doing my spiritual work. You know what I mean? Not looking at myself.
It's kind
I
of
was always
like
keeping myself busy doing things that I wasn't really needing to be doing instead of the stuff I need to be doing.
Right.
And I was putting it off.
Like forcing yourself to like focus on, or like, address things head on.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
so
Instead of just like pushing it off, stuff it under the bed. And then eventually everything starts falling out from under the bed and you can't stuff anything in there. You got to deal with it.
Yep. And that, I mean, if you look at the dream, that's exactly what I had to do. Like I had to address the alligators coming at me, and it's scary, and I think we can all kind of use that in real life too. Like it is scary to put those boundaries in place. It's scary. It's scary to heal.
Especially people that have been in your life for very prominently in your life for so long that you feel are part of your identity in some way.
Yeah. But I think I think you can kind of really use it in anything though.
That's true. Like a job, it could be anything like that. It could be a habit, a job, people, place, of things. Yeah, you're right. Like whatever makes us feel safe and secure in our old self, previous, before we, started ascending and working on ourselves and spiritually awakening.
Something earlier, there was a significance of water in your meeting too that we never really looked at that one.
You want to look that up? It, from what I know, water represents emotions,
right?
Just like the moon does, and it could mean other things though. So I don't think I looked that up. I didn't know that I ever looked that one up, but
I thought we were talking about it.
Yeah. Oh, so while you're looking that up, you want to talk about why we brought that up because of this most recent dream? Or no?
We can talk about parts of the dream.
Oh, good. But you were talking about because there was water in your previous, the recurring dreams.
So
okay.
like,
I thought you were going into that new one. So.
No, so we could talk about part of the most recent dream, and that was there was a. I mean, I'm a multitask.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
I won't distract you.
So in the most recent dream that I had, it was like I had walked inside and I noticed there was a leak. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, it's a small leak. I can fix that.
Like inside your house?
Yeah. But it wasn't really my house. Like in the dream, like I acknowledged it was my house, but it wasn't
your current house.
My current house. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
But I had went outside to go handle something else, and then I come back inside, and like the roof is like, it is just a downpour. Like the roof is about to cave in. The water is just coming through the house. And so I'm like, okay, I need to hurry up and get everybody out. So like I grabbed everybody, and like there was a couple of my friends' kids there, all that stuff, and we just like ran out the house. And I remember looking back at the house and not seeing anything physically wrong with the house, you know. So whatever it was internal, you know, like it. And while I was inside the house, it seemed like it was
The ceilings were
external.
sagging, and like it was gonna, yeah.
But when I was outside, it looked like everything was internal. And I think that's where like we were trying to look at the significance of water in the dreams.
Yeah, and you're looking it up now.
Because, you know,
I'm sure that there's different meanings behind whether the water is like stagnant and like sitting and moving.
Yep.
I think that that's also another relative detail that, you know, we can even drill down into if we want.
So the water in your house, or particularly flooding, often symbolizes overwhelming emotions, subconscious thoughts.
See, I was right about that.
Or significant life changes that are impacting your sense of self.
Oh.
And then, so it kind of goes back to.
I just got goosebumps, by the way. I gave you goosebumps.
That, like, when I was researching it, it was like the house is like your body, you know, like, and then the emotions are out of control on the inside, you know, and
you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's so much going on in the world, you know, and then so much going on in our personal lives, you know, house, kids, work, you know, so it's easy to feel overwhelmed. And, you know, I'm a huge control freak. So
yeah, I don't know anything about that. Only because I don't know anything about, right?
Right.
No,
and then you go,
I'm very controlled.
So it's
working through that too.
But even we can take this a step further too, though, because like if you look at the previous dream of, you know, like the alligators and trying to find like my safe haven again and trying to cope, you know, and then you look at this dream and it's like it's making me realize like, okay, look, like we're facing external factors head on, like we need to face internal factors head on, like internal, like
right, kind of like you're finding that balance between the two. So like you're handling all the masculine type stuff on the outside, but you haven't gone in the feminine and look at the emotion part and trying to balance that part out.
And I think that's the most challenging, is accepting, you know, the internal, because it's easy to fix like your external factors.
Because I think the internal is the hardest one to overcome. It's the most overwhelming. I know that's how I feel. And that's why I've put it off.
Right.
Is because nobody wants to go into that because it's overwhelming when you do unlock and open up that door. It's like,
I mean, and look at what happened at the beginning of the dream. It was a small leak. And I was like, oh, I'll get to that. I went outside to go handle my other issue, and then I come inside, and it's like everything's caving in because I didn't address it when it was happening because I was focused on
now it's built up factor, all that, you know.
So, which, I mean, it really makes sense. Is like we get so distracted by the external factors and these external things that are distracting us from what is really going on, and that's internal, and what we need to work on. Like I should have just fix the leak.
Yeah, but you know, again, you live and learn. You know, it's the same thing I did. I put that off, and then I have a waterfall of emotions at some point. It all comes out. It overflows, and then you have a breakdown, or you blow up at people, which is what happened to me recently. It was like a pressure building, and I wasn't addressing the issues in, you know, this recent relationship I had to let go of this week. Until it was too late, and then I blew up and said and done some things I was very ashamed of, and you know, really ruined the relationship because it was becoming a very beautiful relationship, and I didn't deal with it. So I've been going through that. You know, I didn't deal with it when I should have. I was living in the moment, enjoying it and everything, and I wasn't keeping the balance between the two and looking at certain things. So really, that goes for all of us. I think that, you know, we should try to consistently work on ourselves, you know, every month, you know, at least maybe once a week, check in with yourself and try to maybe journal or whatever, introspect, try to figure out what you're feeling and going through, and sit in it and try to work through it, you know, whatever it is, try to keep that balance.
I see, I hear that all the time. fix it now, or you're going to have to fix
Yeah.
it later.
It's just like
you know?
everything else.
Or take
right?
a break, or your body's going to make you take
Right.
a break.
It's like when you don't change your oil in your car and then it locks up later, you know,
Yeah.
but it eventually catches up to you. So, and then you have to address it at a certain point because it becomes this huge catastrophic thing at that point. But anyway, was that everything?
Yeah, that was everything. Cause like, I mean, it's weird though, because like, since I have been, focused on healing myself and putting boundaries in place and just kind of just really just making changes in my life altogether, I've noticed that like these vivid dreams have been happening less and less,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
and you've had them, you said, throughout your life
regularly. Like,
so that's like my friend,
frequent.
my guy friend Derek, that, he had those vivid dreams like pretty much every night. And it did correlate with stuff he was going through day to day. And it was really interesting to see that. I don't know if you want to go ahead.
I was gonna say maybe he should address it so they won't be so frequent.
Well, yeah, and he actually did. For some of those dreams, he did. But again, he's still trying to figure out what they all mean to him, and if it is just a dream thing or if it isn't. And I've told him, I said, I feel like that's kind of one of my gifts. Maybe is dream interpretation to an extent. It just comes naturally. I feel like to me that the insight, and maybe I can help some people, help them interpret their dreams. But what was that I was going to say? Oh, you talked about healing, and I don't know if you want to go into this just briefly. You've been working on yourself. Do you want to describe certain things that you've done? Not, name anybody in particular or anything, but like certain actions that you've taken to work on yourself. Do you journal? You do daily affirmations, or like write down things you're grateful for, or whatever it is, like a combination of things that you've done that you've changed and incorporated in your life over the last, since you've been doing this work?
I do a lot of different things. And I really, so weird, because like I know I'm such a control freak and I'm so like routine, but I think that is one of the biggest things that I have really tried to force myself out of on some level, like really trying to focus on how do I want to reflect on that, what, because like I feel like I get so caught up in these schedules and these routines and writing everything down that it becomes a chore and it's no longer enjoyable.
Right.
So like some days I will write what I'm grateful for, what I like about myself. Like I was telling you the other day about high-fiving myself in the mirror, like,
I think that's a good practice. I thought that was a great idea.
Because like your mind, it goes back to childhood when you're high-fiving somebody, like you're like, hey, you're doing a good job.
Attaboy, yeah.
So like your mind is constantly connecting it, like, hey, I'm doing a good job. I'm doing
like
a good
positive
job.
reinforcement, subconsciously, right? You're retraining your brain is what you're doing. So when you do that.
And then I do the sometimes I do journal. Sometimes like I'll just kind of like write things down and just like reflect like where I'm at, and sometimes I'll even like, old memories, and then like I'll reflect on like, I guess, how I would have handled it now. I feel like helps me too, because like I feel like I'm in a better mindset.
To go back and look at them that way, it's not as painful maybe or something. Yeah.
And then like I have that, it's the Fox planner calendar, and at the end of each month it has like this little like pie chart that you can fill out, like how did you do spiritually this month, how'd you do financially, how'd you do with your relationships or your goals, and you can kind of like fill it in. That way you can kind of see like, hey, I did better, work wise this month, but my family time lacked. Or
that's really good for learning that balance.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good tool.
And that it kind of helps kind of like, like where can I do better, or hey, I need to make more of an effort to hang out with friends, or spend time with family or wherever it is. you
or
know,
do
so
something creative like painting or
right.
things
And
like that.
that was another thing that I had started to do again. You know,
I remember encouraging you to do that. Like,
there were so many
yeah.
things, you know, that you get discouraged to do. You know, like I think growing up, the world tries so hard to make you hard, you know, and I've been trying more to focus on, you know, like my positive attitude, like, oh, you're so optimistic all the time. Like, how are you so bubbly? How are you so happy? You know, and, you know, growing up, it was always perceived as such a bad thing. And
Right.
now I'm like, why can't we put that positivity back into the real world? You know,
that's not who you are now.
right.
And now you're associating that, and you're like, this isn't who I am. This is who I was raised to be.
Right.
Who they try to mold me into, but
Right.
it's not who I resonate with now. That's not who I
Right.
truly am.
Right.
I'm
And
going through the same thing.
like, even if you look at like traumas and relationships, I mean, even kids in school, like anything like that, like it hardens you. And you're like, I mean, for years I always try to do this, like just cut it off, don't care.
Well,
you
that's
know?
how we were trained to do it. You know,
And-
suck it up, buttercup, put your big girl panties on and quit crying.
Yeah.
And you get to work.
But
being your masculine.
right.
Get out of your feminine.
Stop crying.
And so we get out of balance, and you and I, we're both, you know, relate to each other in that. When we get too much of our masculine, we are not nurturing the feminine side.
Right.
And so then it all builds up, and all these emotions overwhelm from our feminine side, and then it overflows, and then it makes us like lose control. You know, then it forces us to lose control.
Yeah.
Because you got to deal with it then.
Yeah.
But I think that's really good that you mentioned those things. Hopefully those tools, you know, somebody can look at that, look it up, and look at that planner. Maybe start doing some of these practices. I just want to ask you one last question. That's something that came to me when you were bringing that up, your tools that you use. When you first started working here with me, were you utilizing any of those tools back then? Or was it after we began working together? Like, was it this last year you started doing this? Does a lot of this work and changes?
I would say, so the calendar, I was looking for something that like I could just like use as a planner. And I'm extremely goal oriented. And I think initially when I had gotten this, I was more of like using it for career goals maybe. And then I was like, hey, you know, I need to start using this like
for personal
growth, you know. But I would say within the last year is when I really just started to buckle down and just focus on myself. Like, what does Emily want? What does my life look like?
And who am I?
Who am I?
Right. Not listening to the stories I was told of who I am growing up. Yeah.
Right. And
or who people want me to be.
Right. What,
you know,
what does she want, and what does that look like? And what are the things that I've always enjoyed doing that I don't, you know, and like I read.
Because you want to be happy.
Right. Like, I paint, like all these things that
anything that brings you passion and joy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I've just learned to embrace it, like, because I feel like, you know, if you look at your kids, you know, and the younger, I mean, even if you don't have kids, if you look at the younger generation, do you want them to be hard? Do you want them to not care? You know, and I'm not going to get into what's going on in the world, but I mean, it's, you want them to have compassion. You want them to love themselves. You know, and it's even that with my daughter. Like, I will not say anything negative about myself in front of my kids.
That's a good practice.
Like,
I can't say the same for myself. I struggle.
It is so hard.
But I at least let her in on a little bit of what I'm going through, so she can learn that when she goes through it, you know, it'll help her.
And I do try to be mindful of that. Like my daughter, she'll sit on the bed while I get dressed in the morning, and she'll see me change clothes after change clothes because I can't find anything that I like. And, you know, she's she'll ask me, well, you don't like what you're wearing today? And I'm like, no. And I mean, it's for, you're on your period or, something
of
like
course.
that. So then
You're
I'll
just not feeling
explain
it.
to her, like,
Yeah.
hey, look, I'm just, I'm not feeling it today.
Right.
I try not to say anything negative about myself, but I do try to explain to her, like, you're going to have negative feelings about yourself, And she's so smart because she's like, well, why don't you just put on an outfit that you wore before? You liked it then. So, it's, it's cute. Why don't you just put that on? And I'm like, there you go. So then I'll just
out of the mouth of babes, right?
I'll just put it on.
They speak so much truth, and we're like, wow, hey,
that makes sense.
And she is an old soul.
She is. We could sit here and talk about that one.
All right, that'd be a whole episode by itself.
So,
but yeah, thank you. I just wanted to, see if the timeline that we were talking about, like
with the dream ending,
and it lines up with what I've been doing too, about the same. Really, this last year and a half, I've really been going through those changes heavy in my life too, and I kind of wanted to see, if it was about the same timeline that I started doing that heavy work, and
I think that I would say that you probably were on your journey a little bit before me.
Yeah, I think I was.
But I think, like I said, mine was more like career.
But it definitely shifted.
Yeah.
This last year.
Because I think I was like, I feel better, let's keep doing this.
I can tell.
My anxiety is not as bad.
Right.
I don't feel as angry.
Right.
And
I feel like you're more authentic
right
now than you were even 2 years ago.
Right.
And not to say that you weren't being authentic. I just feel like you were scared to maybe accept or open up that side of yourself to yourself and other people.
Yeah, because
be more authentic. Yeah.
Emily does not like to talk about feelings.
Well, yeah, but you know what? You've done that. You've come huge.
Yeah.
Like you've done a lot of growth in that way in the last year, and you've really opened up to me.
Right. And I think the biggest thing too is somebody had said something, and I'm not going to say their name because I know they're probably not going to want to be mentioned. But as soon as I say it, you'll understand. He said, not everything is always about you.
Right.
Everybody, it's, you don't think about it. Like, when you're having a bad day, like I try to be more mindful of that. Cause like, I know it's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how to handle Jasmine's bad day, but I'm like, I have to, cause it's not just about me. You know what I mean? Like I have to kind of take a step back from myself and just kind of be like, hey, do you want to talk about it? What is it that you want me to do? Do you not want me to do anything? And kind of really be okay in those situations.
Learn to detach from the outcome.
Right.
Right. That's what I've been learning.
Because like it's not about me. It's about you and what you need in this moment, And
but you can always hold space for somebody, but also learn to detach from if I can't seem to help her, then I need to be okay with that and not feel guilty or shameful or whatever, because that's something I've been dealing with. So,
but I think it goes back to like kind of like what you were saying about me being more like authentic. I guess I'm being more open-minded to myself, to those around me, rather than just shutting it down. This is how I need to be,
and accepting of who you really are, though.
Right.
That's what I really meant when I said that. Was I feel like for me, I just spiritually speaking, I feel like you're now looking at who you truly are.
Right.
What makes Emily? Who is Emily? What makes her happy? You're now walking more authentically for yourself, in alignment with who you truly are.
Right.
That's what I was trying to say.
And not really caring about the outcome either.
And you're not caring what people think.
And that's been hard.
Me too.
That's hard.
Remember, I said that. I said that in our boss's office. What was that, about a year or two ago? I said, I'm tired of, I'm not going to worry about what people, and it's been a struggle. I've still been working through that, what people think about me. And, even doing this podcast, 2 false, attempts to get that started because I was worried about, what it was going to do for my job, what it was going to do, keep my family, if they heard it and seen it, and, how they felt about it. And then I had to let that go because it was keeping me stuck. And I wasn't growing, and I was living in fear, and I was tired of it. I wasn't
haven't
being
quite
true.
made it there just yet.
No, but we're all on our own journey, and there's no judgment. You can't beat up on yourself for that, because we're all on our own timelines. We're all on our own healing journeys, which is different for everybody.
Right.
And we do it when our soul is ready. If our soul isn't quite ready at that time, don't beat up on yourself. That's something I've had to learn for myself, is that, we're both, in a way, goal oriented.
Mm-hmm.
We have deadlines in our mind. We try to put a deadline on this. Well, I should be this here in this, my journey by this time. And
Right.
you're thinking, I'm not there yet. So anyway. All right. Well, I really appreciate you sharing everything with me today. This is a great talk, and maybe we could talk in the future about some other stuff.
I know we kind of went off,
Yeah,
because we went from talking about the dreams, but I know you wanted to address like kind of where I am in life and how that correlated back to the dream, because I haven't had
and
it.
the timing and things like But
no problem. I'm sure we'll come up with another topic.
Oh, I'm sure,
bring to the episode,
as much as we talk about stuff like that. But thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time and opening yourself up, to help some people, share your side, your story, of things that could help them.
And if I can send you the journal calendar that I was looking at,
right?
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'll comment. I'll put that in a comment or a pinned comment or something like that, or in the description.
It's been good for reflecting, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it. And so I'm just going to end this episode here. And I thank everybody for coming back, and hopefully you'll see me in the future. So, and for a future episode, and just leave you in love and light. Thank you.
It's like a fire burning through my chest. It's time to let it out. It's time to let it go. Parts of my past I can't control. So tonight we're celebrating what tried to break me.